I think the best thing for people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the fuck up. Because as soon as they start talking, people as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that fucking microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number one of Trump derangement syndrome. He's one of those, I'm moving to Canada if he wins, and he's never going to leave the White House if he wins. We're going to have Trump forevermore. I mean, hello, I hate to break it to you because I realize you're advanced age too, Robert, but people die. So he will leave, one way or the other.
Robert De Niro thought he was walking into a light political chat. Turns out, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly came armed with firepower. One moment he's delivering lines like it's awards night, the next he's getting verbally folded like hotel laundry on a live broadcast. What did Rogan say that had Megyn Kelly cracking up? And why did De Niro suddenly look like he just figured out witty replies don't show up on demand? This wasn't a debate, it was a takedown. You've never seen a Hollywood icon get humbled quite like this.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the.
If Robert De Niro got paid every time he launched into a political rant like a method actor trapped in an endless monologue, he could probably buy a private island where no one ever mentions Trump again. But instead, he chose a different stage. Award show podiums, throwing animated gestures like someone who mistook the teleprompter for a sparring partner.
Like, you didn't think this through. Like, this is, and he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were a fucking raging bull. You know, you were in The Godfather. Like, stop doing this. Man. Don't do this.
I'm terrified to meet some of those people I looked up to now.
You should be.
I mean, like
I've met a few of them, and it's actors in particular, because their whole business is pretend. Their whole business is pretend.
And just when it seemed like no one had the patience to sit through another fiery speech about politics from a guy mostly known for playing movie mobsters, two very different media voices stepped in, separately and without holding back. First up, podcast giant Joe Rogan strolled into the conversation like someone who accidentally wandered onto the set of a poorly written political drama and decided to fix the script with a verbal wrecking ball.
People shouting him down like, your movies suck. That's not true.
No, his movies are very good.
Suck. He's one of the greatest actors. I mean, he's the heir apparent to Brando, blah, blah, blah. But he's a loon.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just say what he is. He's, he has, basically, I describe this to people. You know what's happening now? Because people are aware about concussions and the problems with CTE. When you get hit and you get a dinger in football, they put you in the blue tent, in the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Democrats. They need to go in the blue tent for a little bit, kind of, get your eyes checked, and then come out and be rational again.
Yeah, cool off
And
a
De
little.
Niro needs to go in the blue tent. I mean, because it's not calming things down.
While De Niro was deep into his one-man Shakespearean monologue in front of gold statues and half-interested celebrities, Rogan was dropping commentary from his podcast stronghold. He didn't call anyone out by name, but let's just say the message landed perfectly, like a custom shoe made by a very opinionated craftsman.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt's convinced that Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and then he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him.
Of course Kurt thinks that.
That's what Kurt thinks that.
Kurt thinks that about every fucking thing that happens in the world.
I think Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men.
And
they want to yell at everybody.
And he's completely... Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Who told him that was a...
Rogan didn't have to mention De Niro by name. He simply sketched a portrait of actors who confuse movie roles with real-world insight. According to Rogan, there's a certain type of star who thinks quoting a script about loyalty and justice qualifies them to weigh in on national policy. You play a guy named Vito for 30 years and suddenly believe you're an authority on democracy. That's like a barista thinking they can brief NASA because they stir coffee with extra care. With his signature laid-back delivery, Rogan broke down this Hollywood illusion like a well-timed UFC combo: no yelling, just clarity. He poked fun at the idea that fame equals credibility, and how some celebs carry themselves like their screen time makes them policy pros. It's not about politics, it's about ego. These are folks who think a SAG card comes with expertise on international economics. And Rogan, in his usual half-laughing, half-incredulous style, didn't rant, he revealed. Under the jokes was a critique sharp enough to sting. De Niro, though unnamed, felt like the lead role in a story about how shouting into a microphone isn't the same as having something real to say.
De Niro, who's got a severe case of the TDS, is in Conference right now, as all of the muckety-mucks are. And he's very unhappy about what Trump is doing to try to keep filmmaking, American filmmaking, in America by slapping tariffs on foreign-made films so that he can basically try to force people to make them domestically again for the American audience that they're meant to serve. And here's what De Niro said on Tuesday.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions.
And then came Megyn Kelly, where Rogan was relaxed, witty, and slightly amused by the circus. Kelly entered like someone flipping through receipts with the intensity of an IRS agent. She didn't name De Niro directly, but when you say Hollywood loudmouth confusing award shows with Congress, the image paints itself. Kelly didn't do podcast banter or playful digs. Hers was a sharp, focused breakdown by someone who's clearly over the drama. No need to poke fun at movie roles. She simply exposed how some celebrities act like political experts while being miles removed from real-world consequences. Her point? Some stars use award stages like campaign podiums without ever putting in the work to understand what they're talking about. They chase claps, not clarity. Standing ovations come not from sound arguments, but from fame and a few internet photos taken decades ago. To Kelly, this isn't just awkward, it's risky. Because when actors start posing as thought leaders, they often do it in bubbles where the only people disagreeing are staffers too polite to speak up.
Yelling at regular people. He's like, fuck you, you're a gangster. Go fuck you.
Like, it's crazy that that's the guy from Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, I think those guys have no friends. I think the only friends they have are Hollywood phonies. And so you're in this weird world where everybody you talk to is a phony, and you become a phony, and everyone's a phony, and your grasp on reality is very slippery, and your eyes are going, right? Mm-hmm. So your vision of the world, your actual vision of the world, your ability to read a phone. You ever see old people's text messages? The fucking text on their phone is like as big as my hand.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so your vision of the world is blurring, literally and figuratively, and then you're getting old, and when old people are tired and cranky, they just want everyone to listen to them, and they don't have time to have a calm conversation. And you state out your opinion, I'll state my opinion. Let's see where we have common ground. Get off my...
It's a loop of repetition, like a flashy deja vu where the same speeches echo in the same rooms, followed by the same polite applause. Kelly, never one to pass up a chance to challenge a cultural cliché, zeroed in on the contradiction. She pulled back the curtain on how some actors, living behind security gates in luxury homes, believe they represent everyday people. They speak about fairness from a stage shaped like a trophy, then leave in cars that cost more than most homes. If her message had a theme, it was this: authenticity matters. Audiences are tired of being lectured by millionaires who spent years in makeup chairs being told they're brilliant. Eventually, the costume comes off, the lights dim, and what remains is just a man who once played a fighter, now swinging at political shadows. What made this dual critique so compelling is how different Rogan and Kelly are. One's a podcast giant and former M&A voice who probably suspects Kale is a hoax. The other is a sharp media pro who can dismantle flawed logic faster than a legal objection. They don't need to agree, they don't have to. Because when someone's being that over the top, you don't need coordination to see it, just clarity and a mic. Their critiques hit hard because they come from totally different angles. Rogan chuckles at the act. Kelly dissects the setup.
Well, it's a global problem because it's the greediness of these studios and some of these actors that, make a lot more money overseas than they would here. But I look at the film industry in the United States, and my father worked in the film industry in Boston. He was a transportation coordinator for the Teamsters Union, so I know a little bit about it. I look at the film industry as we have some of the most creative people.
Rogan finds it hilarious that actors treat their opinions like gospel. Kelly finds it troubling. The delivery may differ, but the message, crystal clear. Robert De Niro has shifted from respected icon to a punchline in formal wear. And here's the twist, he doesn't even see it. These weren't call-outs built for arguments. They were reality checks so sharp that replies felt pointless. Rogan didn't need De Niro on his podcast. Kelly didn't need to host a debate. They simply laid out their points like two investigators stumbling onto the same scene, each roasting the evidence with zero coordination. De Niro's routine has quietly gone from powerful to parody without him realizing it. And nothing shows that more than two high-profile media voices taking aim at the same figure, unplanned but entirely aligned. It's the public equivalent of shouting at birds in a park, loud, dramatic, and convinced it's wisdom. Meanwhile, Rogan's audience is cracking up at his spot-on comparisons about Hollywood's political cosplay, while Kelly's viewers nod along at her sharp critique of disconnected elites dressing up their speeches as revolutions. And everyone walks away thinking the same thing. Just because you starred in Raging Bull doesn't mean you're ready to lead the next fight.
Why is he talking about this? Why is he talking about this publicly?
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
If you're going to come out and say that you have a really deep-seated hatred for one of the two people running for president, you can't just be, he's a bully, he's a piece of shit, I hate him.
He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has.
You probably, if you're going to express yourself about it and alienate 50% of the country, which it seems like it is, you're going to have to...
There's a sharp irony in watching someone known for grounded, no-nonsense roles now float completely above reality. The same man who once delivered iconic lines with grit now seems to be typing in all caps and calling it activism. It's like a master chef suddenly slapping cheese slices on filet mignon and swearing it's 5-star. What makes this even more wild is that Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly, two media giants with totally different styles, are silently in sync on this one point. Audiences deserve more than emotional speeches in designer suits. There's something oddly sad about watching someone with fame and reach burn it on dramatic outbursts while pretending it's impact. True influence isn't about using award shows like rallies or mistaking applause for agreement. It's about knowing when passion needs perspective. But lately, De Niro's words sound less like leadership and more like Wi-Fi-fueled rants at dinner. The crossover no one predicted. Rogan and Kelly, two voices who probably don't even agree on pizza toppings, unintentionally aligned like satellites circling the same fading spotlight named Robert De Niro.
Outside today, Robert De Niro, officially sent by the Biden campaign, makes himself look like an idiot and reminds us why Trump is so popular.
It's so stupid. It was colossally stupid. If you're going to send somebody to go speak outside of the Trump trial, make it someone who's universally beloved, like a Michelle Obama. You know, she's not universally loved. She's not loved on the right. But I'm saying, like, at least within the left and the center left, and maybe even some center righties. Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number one of Trump.
On one side, there's Rogan, a hoodie-clad cage-fighting philosopher sipping mushroom tea while breaking down the odd world of celebrity soapboxing. On the other, there's Kelly, an impeccably sharp media force in heels, slicing through Hollywood egos with the calm accuracy of a veteran surgeon who's seen too much. They're opposites in nearly every way: tone, substance, even playlist choices. Yet here they are, unintentionally united over what's left of De Niro's media credibility. It's not just funny, it's oddly poetic. Picture the media equivalent of cats and dogs teaming up to form a jazz band just to outplay the neighborhood rooster who won't stop making speeches. Rogan's laid-back commentary is soaked in dry humor, half surprised, half exhausted. Meanwhile, Kelly's delivery has the edge of someone who's attended one too many galas and can spot when applause is more habit than truth. They've never collaborated, never coordinated, but both watched De Niro shift from silver screen icon to social media monologue in formal wear, and somehow landed on the same tone at the same time. What makes this moment hit isn't just the punchline, it's the layered critique underneath.
Robert De Niro, there's something about being a star where you think your opinion's more important than anybody else's, and you can go give a press conference, and he obviously has been very vocal from 2016 that he hates Trump for whatever reason. Maybe they have some personal thing.
You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside,
No way.
Now he's like holding press conferences. Now everyone's heckling him everywhere he goes.
So bad.
Like instead of just being this cranky old liberal, now you're this guy that is yelling at other people that are Trump supporters, and they're yelling at you. Like you've opened yourself up to this nonsense.
This isn't just about Darrow shouting into microphones like he's auditioning for Old Man Yells at Cloud, the musical. It's a bigger issue with celebrity culture. For years, we've seen actors take the stage acting like their IMDb pages come with automatic moral authority. Playing a war hero or a lawyer doesn't mean you suddenly know global politics. Sorry, Bobby, but playing Vito Corleone doesn't give you a foreign policy pass. And yelling at your political opponents like you're battling a raccoon in the kitchen doesn't help either. This moment, the double takedown by Rogan and Kelly, feels like a cultural eye roll. The audience is done pretending the raging bull guy has all the answers to America's challenges. People are tired of lessons from folks who fly private jets and think hashtags solve everything. Most would rather hear wisdom from their barber than another millionaire's speech about being relatable by skipping a second yacht. They didn't shout him down or throw tantrums. They just held up a mirror. And Darrow didn't like the reflection. While he keeps ranting, Rogan and Kelly quietly and cleverly expose the illusion. Darrow is not the voice of a generation. He's the uncle you mute at family dinners. Thanks to Rogan and Kelly, he's not just a political cliche anymore. He's the punchline everyone expected. The worst part? Not the jokes or sarcasm, but realizing that somewhere along the way, Robert Darrow stopped being taken seriously, not by critics, but by the fans who once hung on his words. Now he's the example people use to show that fame doesn't equal wisdom. Rogan saw the circus and laughed. Kelly saw the circus and took notes. Meanwhile, Darrow is still backstage rehearsing a show no one asked for, not knowing the crowd left at intermission. The only ones watching now are in it for the comedy, not the message. So here's the lesson. If you want respect, maybe don't treat your Oscar speech like a Senate hearing. And if two very different media voices are roasting you at once, maybe it's time to rethink your role. Because in the end, the real show wasn't on the big screen. It was live TV, where an icon became the star of a roast he never saw coming.